There's a lot of great weaponized vehicles available in Grand Theft Auto Online, some obviously better than others. And there's this stigma that the more money something costs, the better it must be. Well, in today's video, I'll be sharing my opinion on if that is actually the case, and vehicles that I think are incredibly overpriced and not worth the money. The first one is this, the TM02 Kali. Don't get me wrong, tanks are cool. And when you are on flat ground, the Kali has one of the most dangerous weapons in the game. You can use it to blow up just about anything near you, just like you've seen me do right here. It's really cool, it's very fun. But at the end of the day, I'm not gonna lie, the Kali is one of the biggest disappointments I think any player is going to get when purchasing a tank in GTA Online. The reason why is because, first of all, it can only survive 6 to 8 homing missiles. Yes, you heard that correct. A Kali tank survives less homing missiles than an Ocelot Virtue, or actually any Imani Tech vehicle. That to me makes absolutely zero sense. I don't understand how that makes any sense in any world, let alone GTA's world. This tank should be able to survive 27 homing missiles. And if it could, I'd still say it's pretty mid. And the reason why is it just can't aim up. Imagine there's somebody in an Oppressor Mark II, or a Sparrow, or really any helicopter, right? How am I supposed to deal with them when this is as high as I can aim? In the real world, using a tank like the Kali, it sounds fun, but you're never actually going to be able to use this in a self-defense situation unless you're spawn camping somebody, and really all that player has to do is use one brain cell, go into off the radar, and now boom, they're able to crap on you. So, I do think the Kali's fun, but I feel like unless you're fighting cops, it's a pretty useless purchase. But you can let me know your personal feelings, comments, and opinions on this one. The next purchase is also a really interesting one. Let's register as a boss so we can get rid of the cops really quickly. There you go, bribe authorities. And yeah, this next vehicle, it's one that a lot of you, if you've been watching my channel, would already know I think is way overpriced for how much Rockstar's asking. And that is the Oppressor Mark II. If we go to the Terabyte, we can request my personal Oppressor Mark II. And it's very easy to do this, right? You can also register as a motorcycle club president, and you can store your Terabyte inside of the clubhouse, which is another very easy way to request your own Oppressor Mark II. The Oppressor has great capabilities. I'm not going to sit here and say the Oppressor isn't good. In my top 5 grinding vehicle video, I guaranteed will put the Oppressor, and I've put it in previous videos. I'm not here to say the Oppressor Mark II is a bad vehicle. What I'm here to say is the Oppressor Mark II is overrated and not worth the price tag that's being asked. The Oppressor Mark II is $8 million. Yes, if you have the trade price of $6 million, but let's be honest, most people don't even get the trade price. They just buy it right out. Not only is it an $8 million purchase, but you also need to get your hands on a Terabyte and either a garment factory or a nightclub. When you add all of that together, you are realistically looking at around $12 million to get your hands on one single vehicle. Sure, if you're a fairly experienced player and you've been saving up for a while and you have a lot of businesses, yeah, the Oppressor Mark II is a great purchase. But at the end of the day, going over to the service vehicles cab, going over to Skosatka, and pulling out a Sparrow is not only A, faster and easier than calling out an Oppressor Mark II, doesn't have to deal with a 5-minute cooldown. For example, if I return my Oppressor right now, I have to wait a very long time to be able to get it back. How long? 5 minutes! That's how long you have to wait to get your Oppressor Mark II back. The Sparrow, if it gets destroyed, all you have to do is wait 2 minutes. You can call it back wherever you are, whenever you are, and never have to worry about a cooldown. And because of that, I seriously do not see a reason why you would ever use the Oppressor Mark II, especially if you're a beginner, and waste $12 million when you can get the Sparrow. I've literally tested the difference in speed and mission capabilities of a Sparrow versus an Oppressor Mark II, and it's not a noticeable difference. Some missions the Sparrow's faster, some missions the Oppressor's faster. But in general, they break even. And why would you break even when this is only a $2 million purchase and gives you one of the best grinding vessels in the game versus something that doesn't give you any grinding potential? Like, I don't really personally see the reason to buy an Oppressor, but obviously you can let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. Now, I know this next one is going to cause a little bit of beef, and that is because next up we are going to be talking about, believe it or not, the F-160 Raiju. We got to do a little bit of scrolling here. There you go, the F-160 Raiju. Now, to get your hands on the Raiju, you're going to have to go to Warstock, and you're just going to sort by price. We can see the Raiju right here for 6.8 million. The only way to get the trade price is by doing the absolutely awful terminal missions inside of the Avenger, which basically every content creator, including myself, have said it's a waste of money because buying the terminal itself costs more than even the trade price is going to give you. The F-160 Raiju, it's fun, right? It's a super, super fast jet, it's got stealth mode, and in an ideal world, it sounds amazing. But first of all, how many of the people watching today's video are actually using this jet to PvP other players, right? PvPing in general is pretty antiquated, and I just don't really see much of a purpose for it. And if you're trying to PvP somebody, I don't think the Raiju is the best choice. I still think vehicles like the B-11 Strike Force and the Rogue are better because A, they have flares, which this does not, and not only do they have flares, but they also feature much better maneuverability, tighter cornering capabilities, and they can survive more explosions. So weigh the options. If you're going for PvP, I legitimately think the Rogue is better. Sure, stealth mode is great if you're trying to get the benefit of the silent attack, but I really just don't see where stealth mode actually benefits me. I've used it very, very little. So, the only argument most players would probably try and make is, oh, but the Rogue is so incredibly fast. Or not the Rogue, the Raiju. The Raiju is so incredibly fast, I can cross this side of the map to the other side of the map in, just a moment, and I can grind whatever I need. Okay, that's understandable, right? Here's the problem, though. To get out the Raiju, you have to go over to Manage Vehicles, you have to scroll until you find it, you have to call it out, it takes up a personal vehicle slot, which means you can't even use a personal vehicle to get there. You either have to go into your service tab and call out a vehicle from part of the agency, or, your Acid Lab bike, or a Sparrow to fly over to the Raiju. That literally takes like 30 seconds to do alone there. The amount of time you waste just getting to the Raiju, then taking it off and bringing it to the location you were originally going to go, is more than it would have just calling out the Sparrow and flying there. And I've actually tested it. I have done a lot of hangar grinding, especially when Rockstar had ×4 money on the hangar. I was grinding it like a mofo. And during that time, I was messing around with the fastest ways and most efficient ways to grind in GTA. And you might think that immediately requesting my Raiju, when immediately starting up the hangar mission, hopping into it right as it spawns here, and going to where I need to go would be the fastest way to complete a mission. Well, believe it or not, I timed it, and using the Sparrow is actually faster. Because you don't have to call in the Sparrow. It is automatically able to just be spawned right next to you, you get into it, and you're gone. And when you have missions that aren't repeats, your Sparrow, if it gets damaged, you can just call a new one in immediately. Where the Rogue, or the Raiju, or whatever personal aircraft it is, you have to call MMI, you have to get a new one, you have to respawn it at a certain area. It's a pain in the ass. At the end of the day, don't get me wrong, I think the Raiju's great. I think that if you like grinding with it, there's no problems with that. But it's not the best PvP, it's not the best at grinding, and because of that, I just don't really think it's as good as people say it is. I think it's great, but I think for the price tag Rockstar is asking, you can easily get your hands on a Sparrow, and you can get your hands on a Rogue, and still have $2 million of extra spending cash. So, that's as simple as it is there. Obviously, not every player is going to agree with what I have to say. And that makes sense. There's a lot of players out there that already own all these vehicles and they like using them for grinding. But you have to remember that I make my videos mainly for players who don't know what they want to do with their money. And they watch content creators' videos and they're like, oh my god, I need to get an Oppressor Mark II. Oh my god, I need to get a Weaponized Ignis, which is a $5 million purchase. You don't need to purchase these vehicles as a beginner. Yes, if you're an experienced player and you have money that you can spend, disposable income as they call it, then sure, the Weaponized Ignis is a great purchase. But I think for most situations, this is not a choice I would recommend to get. I do really like the Weaponized Ignis though. It's an incredibly fun vehicle to mess around with. So you might be asking, why the heck is it making it into the 4th and last slot for an overpriced purchase? Well, first of all, it is the only HSW vehicle that you literally can't do HSW time trials in. It's really annoying. You can see this vehicle is not suitable for an HSW time trial. That sucks. I don't know why Rockstar had to do that, especially when we have vehicles like the Niobe, which are literally just better than this car. The fact that Rockstar made it so we still can't use this vehicle is a little bit annoying. And not only that, while this does feature a remote minigun on the roof, it's really only useful for missions, because in an actual public lobby, if you're using that minigun to kill somebody, guess what? The Weaponized Ignis cannot survive any explosions, which means that any player with literally 0.1 brain cells will pull out a railgun and you'll be dead in about 0.2 seconds. So realistically, the only choice you're going to be using the Weaponized Ignis for are missions. And don't get me wrong, it is a very, very fun mission vehicle to use. But the Vigilante exists, and the Vigilante has homing missiles, and it also only survives one missile. So at that point, the Vigilante is slower. It has a rocket boost, which means, or not slower, sorry. The Vigilante is actually just as fast, because it goes 156 miles per hour with a rocket boost, which is about the same speed this vehicle goes. And I will say, to be fair, the Weaponized Ignis is probably better all round in terms of lap time than the Vigilante due to the, you know, the overall acceleration and the fact that it has insane levels of handling. But Vigilante goes the same speed, it has homing missiles, it's easier to use in missions, and because both of them only survive one explosion, it's just, I don't know. Don't get me wrong, this is a really fun vehicle to mess around with. It's fast, it gets everything done. But this costs $2 million more than a Vigilante, and it has worse capabilities if you actually look at it on face value. So you can let me know. You can let me know your personal feelings, comments, and opinions down below. But if you're a beginner, I hope that this video comes as a worthy guide and makes you understand that, sure, expensive things are nice. And as you play GTA, the more money you get, the more you're going to be willing to invest in better ways of grinding. But as a beginner, I think that wasting your money on these purchases I went over today is going to be a complete waste of time, a complete waste of money, and I would not recommend. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye!